Okay.
It's killing me, Dave. Come on.
I hear it. I hear it. Okay. I think I got it. You're good. Got the stream going now, so we are now. Oh, I know. And everything here is great. I will say this is technicality right here. This one is technically not a sandwich. I didn't realize it. This is just because the Texas toast makes it look like it's a sandwich, but that's actually not. That's just Texas toast on with Raising Cane's. Like, okay, that people have called me out on that before, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. But
It's close enough. You could eat that as a
you
sandwich.
absolutely
Put
could.
you
Yeah,
put the
yeah.
chicken in between yeah.
Oh, it'd be good too. It'd be really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to answer your question. Like, sandwiches. Did I have this week? I almost had a really good one tonight. I was gonna have like, I was gonna go to the Jack in the Box and get a sourdough chicken sandwich. That was,
Uh-huh.
it's really good. I wonder if I can show you. Well, we're doing a show, but maybe we'll do that a little bit later.
Okay.
But it's a sourdough grilled chicken sandwich with like this sauce with like this chipotle sauce on it. It's great. It's really great.
Nice.
Not too
Sounds
bad.
yummy.
Like it doesn't put too much of a dent in you either. Like it's pretty good. So I'm all about it. Like okay. Well, there you go. Like I think pretty much ready to go. I mean, everything's lined up. Very exciting.
You can't hear my TV in the background, can you?
No, I cannot. No, I cannot. So
Okay, good.
your mic, your setup, whatever you're doing on your mic, it's pretty good. So like that's very nice. So
Okay. Cool.
all right, I'm ready if you are. I'm. We can,
Let's do this.
let's do this.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm all about it. All right, here we go. So folks, I'm ready. There we go. Let's go. Yeah, we have this new goofy music now. Like I love it. Okay. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome everybody to the Sandwich Corner, our continuing journey of conversations in sports and other stuff. My name is Dave Medina. You know me as Dave Easy eating a sandwich on many big platforms out there, including Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok and Instagram. It's nice to have you all here. I also stream regularly on Twitch. Our program over there is called The Sandwich Show, and we are celebrating 3 years of streaming on Friday. So if you're listening to this podcast before then, check us out on May the 3rd from 4 o'clock Eastern all the way till deep in the night. We're going to be here all day. We're going to be here all night. So we'd love to have you there. I'll be featuring some past guests for interviews and a lot of surprises to commemorate our 3 years on Twitch. It'll be a great time. Those of you joining us here, we're commemorating our 14th or 15th anniversary. Sorry, our 15th anniversary of this show, which is just bananas. Like that, I've been podcasting for 15 years, and I'll see what the year has for as far as commemorating that. I mean, obviously, a lot of great moments on this program, of course, which preceded the Sandwich Show. Before this was known as the Sandwich Corner, this was, of course, the Dick Cow Show. But a lot of good memories, a lot of good people. And this is one of them. Chris, it's great to have you back tonight. Chris in Georgia joins us. Great basketball fan. No, I'm a sports pope on
Hey.
YouTube. How's it going, Chris?
Good. Thank you very much for that nice intro. And
Absolutely.
yeah, when you said we're going to be here all night, I was like, let's do this. Let's get this going.
Let's get this going, indeed. So
You look good, Dave.
I love it. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad, and everything's good with the fam and everything.
Everything's good. Yeah, everything's good. I saw you last summer, and that was a nice treat.
Yeah,
And down in San Diego,
yeah.
you made the trek. So
It was great to catch.
hopefully it won't be another. Hopefully we won't have to wait 3 or 4 years before we see each other again. Maybe this summer.
I feel good about that being
Yeah.
improving upon that. I do, because I have interest in going to Georgia at some point too. I know you live there, and there's a lot to do over there too. So I will see how. I think we can make between the two of us traveling one way or the other. I feel like we'll meet at some point in the near future, because it's always good to hang with you.
I
my
think
friend.
so.
Yeah.
I think so. My kid wants to go to a Dodger game, so I that might be on the schedule this summer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A trip to Chavez Ravine.
You're gonna. Oh man, your kid's gonna love it. Like that first impression
Yeah.
being at Dodger Stadium, it's just so majestic. Like I think he's in for a real. Whenever he can make it down this way, it's gonna be awesome. Like for sure. You know, actually, if we could stay off topic for a second, like, I was getting a lot of like a lot of reports from my notifications that the the quote, the alibi, so to speak, of the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, outfielder for the Dodgers. The idea of him being the one who was doing the actual gambling is actually apparently a real thing. Like, have you noticed that there's actually some tangible evidence to that effect? Like, or is this a really elaborate alibi? I don't know. And at this point, that was really interesting to see that, though. I mean,
yeah, I haven't followed that story too closely,
okay.
to be honest. So I don't know the details. You're way more up on it than I am. That's a crazy amount of money to just
yeah,
not notice that it's missing from accounts. I don't understand how that happens, but I don't know. I
It's
don't live that way either.
I don't know what's going on there either. Like I just, it's just interesting that this may end up working out for Shohei Ohtani. Like, I just think that's so fascinating. I don't know who to believe right yet at this point. I think time will tell, but maybe this really did happen. Maybe the interpreter was at fault the entire time. But as you said, how can one steal that much? Well, I mean, and I shouldn't say that because I think I did see like another report of a recent burglary of multiple millions of dollars. So like, man, maybe that can happen. I guess things can happen. Who knows? But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. All right. Basketball time. Been a very good first round with a couple of exceptions, which we'll get to as we start going through these series. But it is really nice to have you back. We haven't talked basketball. Gosh, it's been close to 5 years now. Like, on the program, it's been like 5 years, like at least. Maybe maybe 4, because we were on a 2020 at one point. I just forgot what the topic was, but it's been a very long time.
It's been a few years, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we talk about basketball all the time, but just not on the show. And it's been really fun just seeing the league like evolve over time. But anyway, I'm really glad to have you back because this is a really good time to have you. It's been a really fun first round. A lot of drama. Even the series that are short have still been pretty good. And we're going to go through some of these tonight as we segue through all the first round matchups. And it's a good thing. It's a generally good thing. The game in progress, the Celtics are up 101 to 71. So obviously, any drama about them winning this game has been thrown out the window. Like, this looks really good for them, with only 7:06 to go in regulation. So we're good there. And then you got the Clippers Dallas, which has just been wild. Like, that's been a good time. Minnesota took care of Phoenix pretty quickly. Denver took care of the Lakers fairly quickly. But again, like, that was the series where like every game was a nail biter, which is really wild. And especially the clinching game for Denver. Like, the Lakers gave them everything. Like, it was a really great game. But we'll get to that later. So yeah, it's good times for sure. But we can start with your Celtics since this is the game in progress. It seems good. So here we are. Those of you watching on YouTube, you can see the summary of the series so far, courtesy of the ESPN website. And yeah, I mean, it's all but done. I mean, it would take an extraordinary amount of shenanigans for this to not happen for the Celtics. But you can see the Celtics have really had their way, except for game 2. And the game 2 was really strange. Like, I don't know where that came from, but you can look at the rest of the series has been all Celtics. Like, they've won every game by at least 20 points. Yeah, it looks like 20 points. Yeah.
Well, game 3 was 14, I think, right? Sorry to interrupt.
14?
Wasn't it? I mean, game 4.
Oh, game 4. Yeah. It was 14. Yeah. It was 14. Yeah. Okay. So it was a little bit closer. Yeah. But it's just, we've talked about the Heat. We just don't think they're that good. They play the style of basketball that we can't get behind it. They cannot score. They have to resort to some tomfoolery to really compete in any of these games. They're trying to grind the game down to a halt. It's just not fun basketball at all, and it doesn't say much about the NBA Eastern Conference that they made it in here, but I think they won some play-in games to get to this point too. So it's like, yeah, it's just one of those deals. Like, yeah, well, somebody had to get in there, so it was Miami. It wasn't a great scenario, but I know neither of us, it's no secret that either of us are big fans of this team. And even though I'm a Laker fan, I still am happy with this result. I'm happy that this is happening because the longer the heater of the playoffs, the worse it is for the league. You know, like, nobody wants to see that. But Chris, let's get your thoughts on this series because like you have a lot to say. I'm sure. I mean, it's your team, so like it's interesting to see what your C's have been doing here. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, you're right. They do like to muck it up. First play of the game tonight, first possession. Bam Adebayo just shoves Al Horford to the floor.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like,
I mean, and no whistle, and
ugh.
there was no whistle, nothing. It's just like he just gets to do that. But the win is what I'll take the win and send these jokers to South Beach and move on. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't. It hasn't been an exciting series, which believe me, I'm not unhappy about. Um, and yeah, game two was the game in Boston where Miami came away with the victory. I think it was by 12, if I'm not mistaken. And uh, yeah, the Boston just did not play their game. They weren't aggressive. They weren't guarding the Heat shooters, and as a result, Miami shot over 50% from three. And it's really hard to win in those cases. Oh, it was 10. Okay, my bad. 10. Um, so it's really, if the other team shoot 50% from three, it's hard to win those types of games. And they just looked just not, they looked a little sloppy in that one. And other than I think Jalen Brown had like 33 in that. But but yeah, I mean the other games I think have been more indicative. And to be fair to Miami, and I you know Jimmy Butler hasn't played, Terry Rozier hasn't played, and that's for the entire series. And then Jaime Jaquez, their sensational rookie, is out tonight. And he's been like, it seems like he's been banged up. He's been getting like extended rest. So it's not Miami at 100%, but I don't care. And, last year in game seven, Tatum injured his ankle. And, that's just the way it goes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, completely fair.
So,
Yeah. The one thing I'm going to add to that is that Derek White has been a standout in this series. They have not been able to stop him the entire series. Like even tonight, he had a pretty good first half. I mean, tell us a little bit about Derek White and some of the other players on the team that have made contributions.
oh, sure. Yeah. Derek had that big game yesterday, or not yesterday, game four, where he was leading scorer 38 points. I didn't know this till tonight. It's the second most points in playoff history without shooting a single free throw. So he had
Wow.
30. Yeah. So no free throw attempts. Yeah, he's incredible, like defender. And he is a master of shot blocking. Even for someone his size, he somehow manages to get these blocks from behind a lot, and and he's used it very effectively. So he's one of these guys who doesn't really show up on the scoreboard a lot, but he's a nice two-way player, and he's really, he's brought a lot to this team. I got to admit, I didn't watch a lot of Spurs games when the Celtics traded for him, so I was aware of Derek White, but I didn't know he was this good. Let's put it that way. I just did not know he was this good. So yeah, White's been sensational, and he was great in Game Four, like you said, and then tonight he carried over and he's hit some big shots, and so yeah, I mean, just the players, everyone knows Tatum and Brown, the two first round picks that they got in the lottery from that Nets trade, and are I mean the one downside to this series really is in game four, Kristaps Porzingis hurt his calf, and it's unclear how long he's going to be out. Sounds like he might be out for a little while. Hopefully, they can get him back next round, but maybe not. If not, Al Horford's very dependable, and they kind of Luke Cornett has been sensational and been one of the most improved players. I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's been fantastic as a backup center. And they also traded for Xavier Tillman, who's a just a more physical defensive player, not as good an offense as the other two. And but he's actually in there now, and so they have a little depth and some veteran presence there. So it's hopefully they can weather the storm without Porzingis, who's obviously a critical part of this team.
Yeah, really a shame about that. I mean, he had been a really, really big help for the Celtics most of the year. So like, it's definitely a little bit of a revival for his career. He had really been struggling to stay on the court for a lot of the last few years. So to see that again would be a tough spot for Boston, but we'll see how severe the injury is for real. Derek White with 25 points in this game so far, and so like that's pretty impressive. Tied for first in the team, first on the team so far, and Jaylen Brown, of course, is right there with him with 25. Through this much of the game, there are 3 minutes and 32 seconds left in regulation, and with Boston up 110-79, it is looking very good for the Celtics to advance to the next round. And we will see who they face. And unfortunately they don't recalibrate the brackets after each round like all the other sports do. So
Right.
I don't I used to like that. I don't anymore because I feel like you're cheating yourself out of potentially good matchups that way. No, we'll see. I mean, how have you felt about that? Like, are you good with it, or do
What
you?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. You're saying you prefer it when they reseed after each round,
Yeah, correct.
if there are
Because
upsets.
it
Okay.
lets the number one seed, the highest seeds play the lowest seeds, and
Yeah.
the middle seeds play the middle seeds. So it should create advantages. No.
Mhm.
I have that backwards. No, actually, I do have that. I do have that correct. Yeah,
You got it right.
yeah. So I feel like that's what one should get if you've won that many games of the regular season. I feel like you've earned that, and it often creates better matchups, especially in the middle rounds, and because the middle seeds tend to go up against each other. And I think it would set up for some pretty solid matchups most of the way. So I'm really curious where you weighed in on that. I mean, we see a strict tournament format in college basketball, but you can't really do anything about that because there are too many teams. But everywhere else they do it a little differently. So it's interesting to see what your take is on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, so in the where is this coming into play right now? Because we've got
Well,
three of the Western teams have advanced already, right?
yeah.
So
I'm so I wish I knew where if I wish I could find like an actual bracket to show everybody. Let me go back here for a
so I
second.
guess the example is if the Sixers, I mean, they're down 3-2 in that series to the Knicks, but if they were to
Mm-hmm.
win it, that would be a case where if they reseeded, and if Boston holds on to this, then it would be the 7 against the 1, right? That's the kind of thing we're talking about.
I think that's what we have. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where I can't seem to find this visually, but basically, what
Because
do
in
I?
the West, the top three advanced already.
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah. So Clippers and Dallas, I think, is the series in progress.
mhm.
Maybe I can just okay. I think I can pull this up. Let me get a second here. Trying to figure out
Okay.
if I can find. Um, I really wanted something a little more official looking than this, but this will be fine for our purposes. So, yeah. So if you look at the way that, if you can see on the screen, if you're on, for those of you watching on screen on YouTube and then Chris on Zoom, you can see that in this scenario, you're gonna stay on this line. You're not gonna reseed after every round. So, whereas assume that the Knicks, well, if the Sixers did win that series, then the next round would probably be Boston, Philadelphia, just out of.
Right.
And it's like that sounds great. Like I feel like the Celtics have earned that situation. But
Wow.
in
I
this,
don't even know. I don't know who I want Boston to play next. I,
yeah, I mean, Cleveland and
I
Orlando
mean,
is
Phillies look
interesting.
really good.
Well, I don't know what to make of the Sixers. They have definitely stepped it up, but I mean, I just thought this is a team that couldn't score. I don't know whether that's them or whether that's the Knicks underestimating them or what, but it's nuts that Maxey could have just jumped into a completely different gear, especially in game 5 when they had a chance to clinch it at the Garden. I was just like shocked. I mean, they were. Is this the next series? I hope it is because This would be a good segue. It is okay. Great. Knicks versus
Nice.
Sixers. That's the next series we'll get into here on our sandwich corner. But so the Knicks are the 2 seed. The Sixers are the 7 seed. Doesn't feel like it the way the series is going. It feels like a 4-5. Like it really just doesn't seem. If you didn't know what the seeds were, you would have been like, "This is a 4-5." Like, this is totally like. Did not think the Knicks were that high a seed. But they played really. They had a really good season. They did. They were hot for a while, so maybe I'm not that surprised. I might be more surprised than that the Sixers are 7, but they look terrible going into the playoffs, and yet here we are. Somehow we're going to a game 6. I can't believe the Knicks blew that game on the other night, or I think it was last night, Tuesday night. Like they had it. Like it was like 2 minutes to go. They were up by 5. Like I mean that was they really let that one get away, Chris. Like if you were, I mean, and it's just kind of wild to me that the Sixers are even in this thing, knowing that, man, where are they getting the offense from? But as we talked about, some people have really, really come out of the ether to make things happen. So, I mean, are you surprised? You did mention the Sixers have been playing very well, which I agree with. I'm just didn't see it coming, if that makes any sense. Like I didn't see Embiid making like several 3-pointers in like one of the games. I think that was game 3. Um, I certainly am. And then, after games 1 and 2, you're like, oh, Knicks are going to just steamroll these guys. But it has not been the case in this series since then. It's been, it's been crazy. And I mean, genuinely, I would love your thoughts on the series because, like, it seems like a series that should already be over. And certainly after halftime and after the third quarter, I thought, oh, yeah, the Knicks are going to find a way out of this. And then with like 3 minutes to go, I really thought that. And yet, here we are with the Sixers coming out of that a winner, and with the series still in doubt. So it's quite a story here, Chris.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic series to watch. I'm glad I don't have a dog in this fight because it's been I, there have been like 2 heartbreaking losses in this series
Oh, for
already.
sure,
Like
for
just stuff
sure.
that just should not happen.
Yeah.
And one, yeah, as you mentioned, was last night, and the other one was in game 2 when Philly had a 5 point lead with like about, I think about 40 seconds left, and they lost that game.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
but you're right. Coming in, I did not get. I've been high on the Knicks since pretty much since the trade deadline. I've liked the way this team has been constructed. They seem to have really good chemistry. I like watching their style of play. Brunson, I mean, look at this guy. It's crazy that he's this good right now, and he's the leading scorer in the playoffs so far. Um, so I was coming in. I thought the Knicks were by far the better team, and that doesn't even take into account the fact that Embiid looked really hobbled. He had come back right before the playoffs. He did not look strong, in my opinion, and I just didn't know what kind of Embiid we were going to get. And I thought that the Knicks, they're very physical, and I just thought they were going to give Philly some real fits. But yeah, actually, yeah, game 2 was the one where they came back from 5, I believe, because Philly had the lead in that one. And it's been a tight series. There've been a lot of back and forth. Um, it seems like Philly, I think in the first 3 games, had like a 10-point lead in all 3 of those. Um, and the Knicks came back, and yeah, and then last night's game, I actually did not watch it live. I had a little scare. We thought there was like a gas leak in the house, so we had to leave the house, and I missed the entire second half and overtime, but I was following along on my phone. But yeah, it was what a game by Maxey. A real, like, one of those memorable playoff games, that people talk about for years. Um, what he scored 6 points in like 30 seconds or something like that. To get it to a tie, that 4 point play, where uh, Maxey got fouled by Mitch Robinson, and you know, Robinson, yeah, it's a bad foul, but honestly, like Maxey kind of leaned into him on that, and he kind of, you know, he was kind of hunting that foul. But you know, credit to him. I mean, he made the three, and he made the free throw, and then you know that, and then the game tying shot. And of course, Hart missed a free throw on the other end too. And if he had hit both, it would have been you know, it would have been back to four. And Phil, it would have been very hard for Philly to get another 4-point play. But yeah, it was. I mean, it's been, in my opinion, and I haven't watched every game, but this has been the most exciting series.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the ones that we have seen. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that either. I think every game has been tight. If the Lakers Denver series had gone another game, that could have been it too, because it really was like there in a lot of cases. But I think the difference is between those is that here you definitely could see a scenario where the Knicks would have a tougher go of it, because just because, like, I mean, it's two teams that know each other pretty well, and you've definitely got a lot of like juice in both buildings. Granted, the Sixers building has been mostly Knick fans in this series. It's been kind of amazing. We're gonna see if there's gonna be that much of a disparity in the home road fans tomorrow when we see these two teams again in Game 6. Great series. You're absolutely right. It has been really. I mean, Game 4, I mean, not the prettiest game. The Knicks won 97-92. Shooting was not good on either side, but Brunson somehow willed them through that one. But these are just games you've just been looking forward to. Like, you count down from the next game to the last game to the next game, and this should be really, really interesting. Like, I don't know. I think the Knicks should take care of it here, but it's not a given. And I think that's a credit to the Sixers, Nick Nurse, and whatever they've been able to do with what they got, which is not a lot. I think the Knicks are significantly more talented. Better bench. You know, I think their go-to player is the better go-to player of the two teams. And it's been a good time. Like it. So we'll see. I mean, if you gun to your head, like, who do you have coming out of the series?
Well, I'll stick with my original pick. I thought the Knicks would win it, and I thought they would win it in 5.
They almost did,
and they almost did.
They were so close.
But I will stick with my Knicks pick.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like Philly too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Embiid's been like, he's been a bit of a goon.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that stuff. Like, you know, he went out of his way to hurt Mitch Robinson in that game. It was Game 3, right? It was the one in Philly, right? Do I have that right? I can't remember.
Might have been.
I think it was Game 3.
Yeah.
And Robinson was going up for a rebound and grabs him by the ankle, and it's, you know, of course, then he leaves the game. So yeah, I just, he's awesome talent, but I just can't stand the way he plays. So yeah, I'm going to stick with Philly. What about you, Dave? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Wait, I think you said you stick with the Knicks, right?
I mean, Knicks,
Yeah.
not Philly, Knicks.
Yeah, I'm with that too. I think I have them winning tomorrow, but even if they don't, I mean, that'd be tough to bet against them at home and at the Garden. Not to say that that can't happen, but you love the odds for the Knicks. I mean, they've essentially had home crowds in every single game of this series, even on the road. So I feel like we could be in for more of the same here tomorrow. So one way or the other, they're going to get some support from the fans during these games. I mean, it was just like one or two little things that got away from the Knicks, and that just kind of ended it for them in Game 5. It's very correctable. I think they'll be fine. I don't think they're going to be completely shaken by it at all. One could construe that because it's like, well, they had the game. They could have put it away right there, and it's like you're just like, how could we do it? But you have 2 shots to get your 4th win. I feel like you can't be beat up over that if you know you have 2 shots to win and one of them's at home. So I think it's a good spot for the Knicks. I think they'll take care. They'll find a way to win between one of the two games. Because if you think about it, it's like a 3-1 series lead, including really like, I mean, the game that they almost had one of them already. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's you don't love the historic potential of a collapse, but at the same time, I feel like it still will take a lot because, as we mentioned, Knicks are not only the more talented team, the more proven team over the course of the regular season, but they're also the more healthy team for all intents and purposes. I mean, people have been getting banged up in the series. It's been really physical. That's the thing that I've noticed immediately with like watching these games. But I do think that they're doing a little bit better than Philadelphia right now. So we'll see. Okay, let's get to the next series in our coverage. We are here talking NBA with our friend Chris in Georgia. This is really good to have you back. Another interesting series, which actually, honestly, I am genuinely maybe this. Okay, I'm obviously thinking before, like talking before thinking. The Pacers are the 6th seed, playing the Milwaukee Bucks, who are a 3 seed. However, they have been playing almost, I'm pretty sure the entire series without Giannis, right? Like from game 2 on, it's been like no Giannis for Milwaukee.
Oh yeah, he hasn't played since the regular season. He's been hurt.
Yeah. So with that in mind, it seemed like the Pacers were going to have a pretty decent chance to win the series, and they do. But they have been starting to leak oil a little bit in the last couple of games. But particularly in game 5, where they had their chance to clinch. I mean, they were in Milwaukee for that game, so to be fair, it was not a given that they'd win that game, but they didn't even really seem like they were in, their heads were even in it. So it'll get very interesting for game 6. The series situation right now, Pacers up 3 games to 2. This has had some pretty exciting games too. Game 3 particularly was a standout game. Like that was quite a performance. And Middleton with not one, I think Middleton tried so hard to steal that game. First at the end of regulation, he got the game tying basket, and then he did it again in the overtime. It was just kind of, or was that game 4? What game was that? Was it? I don't remember what game that was now, but
the overtime game was game 3.
Right, but was that the same game that Middleton just like kept tying the game at the buzzer all the time? Like was
Yeah, he sent it into overtime.
Yeah, that's right.
With
yeah.
that 3, and he almost sent it to double overtime, and he missed a shot at the buzzer, and that was also the game where Dame got hurt.
Yeah,
they start to blend together after a couple days, but I'm pretty sure that was the game that Dame played like 45 minutes, maybe more, and then it was like they announced he wasn't going to be available for game 4.
Yeah. So
okay.
You didn't have either of those guys, and somehow I don't know if Dame was playing in game 5. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying enough attention to that particular game. I could go check right now, actually, over here. Go look into this.
No, he didn't play last night.
So yeah, that's a pretty bad loss for the Pacers in that regard, because it's like you're clearly more talented right now with who you have versus who the Bucks have right now, and their bench is just not that good this year compared to past years. So, I mean, if you think, well, we're just thinking, well, maybe we can get it in game 6, that's a dangerous road. You really, really shouldn't do that. Like I don't know what happened there. I don't know if you have if you can break that down for us, but Pacers, they're a young team, so yes, they will probably not take some of the games seriously, not understand some of the potential pratfalls of taking a game too lightly. Clearly, they underestimated the Bucks' will to win in Game 5 because it was a rout, 115-92, despite having like almost very, very few advantages roster-wise over the Pacers. So it's just funny. The Pacers' defense has not been great, but it's better than it was, right? Because when they made the trade for, and I'm trying to remember who this was this Pascal Siakam, I'm thinking, or
Siakam? Yep.
Yeah. So. Yep. I think they picked up a little bit after the trade, but I mean the defense has generally been okay, but needless to say, this has been a high scoring series. The Bucks have not been particularly good on defense either this year, so it's about what you thought it would be. Now the question is, who's going to come out of this? I do worry about the Pacers here, Chris. Like, even though they have no business fooling around with the Bucks now the way we know them. The Bucks don't have much left. It's like Brook Lopez. Is Brook Lopez still there? I think he is. Like, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I thought so. It's just not much of a team right now. Like, it's Middleton can only do so much. Like, they don't have Drew Holiday anymore. They're missing some key pieces. Like, it's just not as deep a team as we were used to. So compare that with like a team that's got Halliburton and let me go over here and I got it right here. Yeah, but Halliburton and Obi Toppin and
Miles Turner.
Yeah, Miles Turner is who I was thinking of. Like he's been very, very good this year.
And Aaron Neesmith has had a nice year. He looks like a solid rotation player for them going forward. They've done a nice job rebuilding that team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's gone through ups and downs, but again, it's a young team. Like, it's a very inexperienced team, so they've had a very good year. They're much better at home than they are away. That's obvious. Like, so that's probably something I should have considered. Like, it's just not a team that plays that great on the road compared to their home court. But when they are at home, they are very potent, and specifically their offense is so much better when they're at home. So, they're doing very well for themselves. So I think you can kind of say that they're still going to have a pretty good year, even if they don't win the series. But they really should win the series at this point. The way this is set up, knowing that you have almost nobody on the Bucks there to go against you at this point. I mean, and we mentioned Siakam too, by the way, just to mention that. It is. Yeah, I'm sorry, you were saying.
No, I was just gonna say the high point for the Bucks has really been the play of Chris Middleton, because he's kind of turned back the clock, and he scored 29 last night, and so did Portis, and I mean it looks like Chris Middleton from about 4 years ago. To be honest, he looks like a younger guy, and not the guy who's had so many injuries in the last few years. So, so good for him, and it's good to see. And honestly, I'm glad this got extended another game. Just selfishly, I just want to see that these other teams play more games now. I do think this is going to be the end for the Pacers. One thing we haven't talked about, Dave, and if I don't know if you're cool with this, but maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the teams that, if they do or if they have been eliminated, like kind of what does their off season look like? Like, just a little snapshot. And I'm thinking specifically of the Suns, but there are other teams too, like the Lakers, that I'd like to maybe discuss with you and get your thoughts.
Yeah, it's a big topic of conversation over here. Like, what are the Lakers going to do? Even LeBron is not really giving us much in terms of what he's going to do in the off season, whether he'll stay or go. I'm personally indifferent to it, but I know a lot of people are going to want him back, and so that's fine. But it's a team that needs to do a lot of work. Suns need a lot of work. Yeah, we can get that a little later, but the Suns look like a disaster, I will say. Like, that team looked old. Yeah. It played old. They're old. Like, they need to completely blow it up. Like, they are done. Like, that's. I don't know what Katie's has left, Chris. Like, I think he's showing some of his age now.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree. But this has been fun series too. It's been competitive. I do think the Pacers win. Is it tomorrow night, Game 6?
It says tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
Game is doubtful.
Who is? Dame is? Oh yeah, no,
Dame is. Yeah.
That's gonna be all Pacers. Like, I mean, I no matter how I look at it, I'm like, how are the Pacers gonna lose 2 games in a row when they clearly have better players than the other team? Like, it's outrageous, especially when one of them's at home. Like, unless they just let the nerves get to them, they're going to be shooting they're going to have their way with the offense tomorrow. They don't have the size to match up with these guys at this point. There's no Giannis, and then as far as the offense on the other side, Dame can't keep them honest with his ability to drive to the paint. So who's going to be the next person to do that? Middleton is pretty good, and obviously he's had some really good games. He's had a really good series. Is he the kind of person that can consistently get to the cup? Well, I mean, I can't really speak to that, but I can say that I don't feel like that's. I feel like he's been more of an outside threat than an inside threat over the years, like just from what I remember.
Yeah, he's a spot up shooter for the most part. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you put that all together. I just don't see how the Pacers are going to lose this. Like, this would be a huge choke on their end. I know it's a young team, but it's like they got to win this one tomorrow. I just don't. I just can't. I just can't put these numbers together and see how they lose tomorrow's game at all. Like, I mean, it could be close. They could go to overtime. I just don't think they're going to lose, though. I just think they're going to find a way to win somehow. So, I too think they'll win this one. I feel like they'll win it in Game 6, but they still should have a decent chance in Game 7, even if it gets to that. Because by then... go ahead.
Can I give you a couple quickies?
Sure.
So NBA.com has I look at the series page, and they have these series averages. Believe it or not, the Bucks series average is 112.6 points. Pacers are exactly 1 point fewer, 111.6 on average. So this is the average for the series. So that kind of illustrates how close it's been.
Huh.
2, can we talk about, we both think the Bucks are going to lose. They're going to get eliminated. Understandable. Giannis, their best player, when he plays in the playoffs, he's one of the most feared players in the league. But there's no other way to look at this season for the Bucks other than it being a huge disappointment, even to the point where they got, they weren't even like the second seed. And preseason, a lot of people had them to winning the conference. What can they do? I mean, what can they do? Anything? Do they have any? I mean, we've talked about this. They're paying Budenholzer, they're paying Griffin, and they're paying Doc now. They're playing 3 coaches at this time. I think Budenholzer might be on the last year of that deal, but yeah, I mean, their window it looks like it might be closing, and they consider too they don't have a lot of picks. So they're kind of, to me, they look like the Sons of the East.
Yeah. They really made their bed with this, though. They were really bought into trying to make this a veteran team. They got a little too old, too fast with some of these transactions. That's the way. I mean, Giannis is not old, but the rest of his team is really old. Like you mentioned, Middleton, good example. Lopez is crazy. Like, I didn't know he was still in the league, but I'm like, he's still there. You're right. Like, it's dude. It's like, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I think I was in college when he started playing. So he's been playing for like 30 years. Like, it's been over for a while.
That's Stanford. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I think they have to bring Doc back, but you deal with the possibility that these guys might ask out. It might be like Giannis saying, "Okay, trade me," and I just cannot.
Why would Giannis want to be traded though? Like, for what? Like, to go to another big team that doesn't have the salary cap room to pay him? I don't really get where that's going. Like,
they want to play in Miami and they want to play in LA and they want to, Milwaukee's, you're not in the spotlight. I don't know. I mean, guys want to move for different reasons.
That would be interesting to me.
There's, someone, I mean, I've heard all kinds of rumors with the Suns players, but we can get to that later. But I don't know. I just would not rule it out. I mean, he's been there a long time.
Yeah, which is true. He has been
8 years.
Been there a long time. Won a title with him. Like, it's been a great run. He might want to try something new. Absolutely. But I'm like, gosh, like, what could be better than the situation for him? Like, he pretty much can control the entire roster for all intents and purposes. Like, I think he got Or was that who's the? Did you think? Do you think he drove? Let's not get into that. I don't want to. We're gonna get sidetracked if we get into like the coaching backstory and
Oh,
so
okay.
on. Yeah, but
For another time.
for another time, absolutely. Like it's. But yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, what are the better situations here? Not the Heat. The Heat stink. Like, Miami can't be that good.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, if you put them on the Heat, all of a sudden they're like a much better team, and they're not. They're not the 8th seed.
they have terrible fans though. Like, this such a thing is like, there's no culture there. Their fans stink. The P
There's no
announcer's a
culture
joke.
there.
Like, I can't.
Oh man,
That was funny.
we're
Like,
two Heat haters.
oh no, like the two of us, like we are not a good combination for the Heat promo team. Yeah, he.
It might be worth mentioning that the Heat did lose tonight, so that's a final, and the
Yeah, that's right. That's
Mavs
right.
and Clippers are underway.
All right, I like it. And yeah, they won. The Celtics won convincingly. Dallas is up 4-0 early in this game with the series tied 2-2. I still love the Clippers here. I mean, they tried to give away the game that I told you about, like back in game 3. Is it game 3? I think it was, but um, I don't think we're up to that series yet. We'll get to that later. But anyway,
Yeah. Why don't we let's stay on track.
Yeah,
Sorry,
okay.
I might
So
have sidetracked.
no, it's okay. It's no problem. No problem. But I definitely wouldn't rule out a Giannis trade at this point. It's just funny to me. Like, I just don't see any situations that are really superior to his at the moment. The big city thing is always a thing, but like you've seen big players go to Brooklyn and then Phoenix. These are cities that people want to be in. Definitely Brooklyn, and not really happening there. Like, it wasn't happening for KD at the time. So we'll see. Anyway, next series in our coverage, Cavs Magic. I don't think either of us are going to have a lot to say about this. This has been a strange series to me. I guess it just goes to show that neither team's really that great. I thought the Cavs were going to be tough, but I definitely thought the Magic were okay. But having said that, I really thought the Cavs would be having a much easier time with Orlando than they are. Because I felt like the Cavs defense has been really good all year, and it's a balanced team. But what I have noticed is that the Cavs do not play well at all when they leave their home arena. And that's the way the series has played out so far. Like, it's the games in Orlando have not been close. You can see on the screen.
It's smoked.
I mean, they got hammered in game 3, 121-83, and then game 4 was practically the same, 112-89. It's just like, so they have to nip and tuck and claw their way to wins against the Magic when they're on their home court, and then they get humiliated when they go when they go to Orlando. So what would lead me to believe the Cavs would turn this around and win a game in game 6? And personally, I don't see that happening. I don't really have a lot to say about the series because this is like the one series that really hasn't had any superstar talent at all. Like, you got some young players, but nothing really. That's probably why the games have been buried on like NBA TV and like barely anyone seeing the series. It's like there's like almost no star talent at all in this matchup compared to certainly not on the level of the rest of the playoffs. But I mean, I think the closest thing you can come with a household name is maybe Jalen Suggs. I think.
No, Mitchell on
Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell.
Sure.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
even then,
But
though,
you're
like,
right.
does that qualify as a household? I mean, that's in the neighborhood. I don't know if I would put him as a household name though. Like, I don't see him on a first name basis like I would with Giannis or with LeBron or
Oh, yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, he's probably the biggest star on both of these teams.
Yeah.
But I do think I think with Wagner and Bencaro, I mean, at least it looks like Orlando has some up and coming stars. But yeah, these have been the first 2 games were rock fights, and there was just no, they're 2 really good defensive teams. That's the thing. And I have not watched this series very closely because it's just been either some conflict with other games or whatnot. Last night it was on against the Knick game, and so I just haven't watched it too carefully. But yeah, one of these teams will be playing the Celtics. I have a feeling, I don't know why, this series feels really even to me, even with the blowouts in Orlando. I have a feeling this goes seven. And I think the Cavs win it. I think Cavs are a little bit more experienced than the Magic. They haven't been in the playoffs in a while, and so I think this goes the distance. I really do. I think this is a 7 game series, and from the outset, it just felt really even. Um, and yeah, I mean the Magic just don't have good guard play. They're just that's the thing they need. They need shooters and they need shot creators from at guard, and I think their offense would look a whole lot better. But yeah, I mean it's kind of fun. I mean they're two younger teams, like you said, and so we'll see. What are your thoughts? You sound like you sound like Orlando will win. You'd like Orlando tomorrow to tie it up
Yeah,
at
it just doesn't
three.
seem like there's anything I've seen from these teams that would suggest that the Cavs would somehow find a way to win to win on the road, because even though every game's a new story, and obviously the Cavs have had the upper hand in the series overall, but knowing that this team really isn't that great to begin with, knowing that they know that they have a game at home that they would feel pretty comfortable in, and knowing that they're that you don't want to bend over backwards to try to win this game when you already have seen the history of this not working out for you over in Orlando. It seems to me like the Magic are going to very much win. Like they'll probably win that game by like, well, I don't know about 20 points. No, actually, I would probably say 20 points. Yeah, because they they won by like close to 40 in Game 3. Like Jesus, like it's terrible. Oh, so
Yeah, and I don't know what's up with Darius Garland, but he's had an awful series,
yeah,
just really disappointing.
yeah. So Magic are going to stomp them in Game 6. However, I do think the Cavs will find a way to win Game 7 as well. Because again, as much as we talked about the Magic having their way and then their court, the Cavs basically have it on theirs as well. It's just a little bit concerning to me that the Cavs have not had an easy win in any of these home games. So I don't know if that's going to come back to bite them in Game 7. Um, so I wouldn't call it a lock by any means, but I do think that the Cavs will find their way through it. Like you said, more experienced team, more experienced players. Like they've been in the league a good while, so the more veterans there, and that usually works in your favor when you're in a playoff series. And the deeper it goes, the more it works in your favor. So I do think the Cavs will win the series, just not right away. It's probably going to take another game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
Yep.
with that.
Okay, that wraps it up for the East so far. We're going to move ahead to the Western Conference, and then let's go look at these series. We're going to start with the Thunder and the again. Like the Thunder just destroyed the Pelicans in this entire season. The only game that was close was Game 1, where the Thunder edged out the Pelicans 94-92. But the Pels just look more and more with each game like they did not belong in the playoffs. However, I will give them a lot of credit. They did fight hard in Game 4. And if I remember correctly, it was tied to start the fourth quarter. So they did show a pulse at least in that game. But the Thunder still rose to the top. I mean, SGA. I mean, what can you say about SGA? Like he has risen to become one of the top. I don't know if I would say 5, but certainly top 10 players in the league. Like he's been really good, and it's obviously not just about SGA in a series like this. You also have to give credit to a lot of people, but I don't have a ton to say about the series overall. Chris, I give it to you for your thoughts.
Yeah, I think this was one of those series where people I saw a lot of people picking the Pelicans. Um, and I think they just underestimated how good that uh, Oklahoma City team is. And you mentioned SGA and Jalen Williams has emerged as a star, in my opinion. And Chet has been great. And I think a lot of people look at the age of this team, and SGA is like the real vet when you think about it. I mean, I mean, they traded for Gordon Hayward at the trade deadline, but of the starters, I think he's the oldest and he's like 25 years old. So it's a super young team. And, we talked about youth with Orlando, and this is a really young team, but the pieces have come together really, really well just this year with the addition of Chet. And they look like they're going to be in the playoff picture for many years to come, and they have tons of picks. But I think a lot of people underestimate them just because of their age, and maybe that will bite them later down the road. But for now, yeah, this was a dominant series, and and yeah, the point differential was totally off the charts. 105 to 89.5 was the average. It was as dominant. You mentioned game one, and that was the best game of the series. And McCollum missed a three at the buzzer that would have put them ahead. But yeah, after that, the games weren't close. So yeah, I mean, congratulations. It's exciting, to see like a young team like this come together really fast and just kind of gel. Like the chemistry just kind of felt like it was there. And it I mean, the only bad thing I can say about the Thunder is really that commercial with Chet and SGA where they're singing "What a Pro Wants,"
I was trying
because
to. That was they
that
shoved that one
is
down our throats, man. It really did.
that is almost single-handedly destroyed the playoffs range. But yeah, other than
Yeah,
that, the Thunder are good. They are legit. So
yeah. I love that. It's a fun fact. I know where they filmed that because that's I've actually been that. Um, it's
is,
it's the
is it
dub.
downtown LA
Not
somewhere?
exactly. It's the W Hotel in Westwood, which is right by UCLA. It's a really unusually
Okay.
located hotel. Really nice place though. So, but
Huh.
a lot of big names have stayed there over time. Seems to be a good location for a lot of
That's
people.
fun.
Yeah. So I'm showing folks on screen the point differential of teams throughout the regular season. The Thunder are number 2 in point differential with a plus 608 advantage. This is just to show that just how dominant they have been in games. It's particularly when they have a decisive advantage in their matchup with another team. They have taken advantage of it. Plus 608 is only second to the Boston Celtics, who had a plus 930 point differential during the season. But if you look at like the other teams that are right there with them on this chart, and it may be hard for you to see this on screen, Chris, but in third place is the Denver Nuggets with plus 431, and yeah, they've been very very good, particularly at home. Um, the series with the Lakers is interesting because like they were having a tough time with some of those games. It was really interesting, and it actually took a meltdown of the Lakers to for the Nuggets to win one of the first two games. Um, you have the Knicks at plus 376, but as we've talked about, even if that's true, they certainly have had a more even series with Philadelphia. The Pelicans are plus 362, but it's like that one. I don't know. Maybe there's some smoke and mirrors with that. What do you think there? Like maybe that's why everybody was
The,
picking the Pelicans early. I'm not sure, but
the
they
Pelicans are yeah, they're one of the strangest teams in my opinion.
yeah.
They
Oh, sorry.
uh the talent wise they look like they just feel like they should be better than an 8 seed. And I know the West is loaded and there are a lot of good teams and there's no shame in that, but I just feel like I mean I feel like this group of players, McCollum, is this McCollum's third year with New Orleans or second? I think it was third, right? I think it was third. But yeah, with McCollum and all the guys they got from the Lakers, um, and it's just and Zion, of course, and I just feel like it really I don't know the pieces haven't come together yet in a way that has translated as far as the playoffs. But I don't know. I do like the way the team is built, but they're just kind of missing one piece. I think um, that could tie it all together.
Yeah, I think that's the Pelicans have really struggled to put together anything that sticks around Zion. But I think part of the problem is Zion can't stay healthy most of the time. I think he was a little better than normal this year with that. But needless to say, it's a very flawed team, and the Thunder just simply overwhelmed them here. So, tip the cap there for that series. The Thunder sweep the Pelicans in four. Most of those games were not close. So let's move ahead in the Western Conference. Nuggets Lakers. The Nuggets beat the Lakers 4-1, but it seemed like every game was a dramatic game. And, the Lakers let one get away, the Nuggets let one get away. It was a really interesting battle. And despite the fact that the Nuggets were, to me, a clearly superior team, the Nuggets won one of the games on a buzzer beater. Lakers really let game two get away. Man, they were up by 10. Like it was rough as a Laker fan watching that. But give all the credit to Jamal Murray for the game winner at the buzzer. But tried to do it again in game five, but it was not to be. But still, what a game. Game five was unbelievable. Like everybody going back and forth, taking the lead. So many lead changes in game five, Chris. Like it was really an exciting game. LeBron and AD and Austin Reeves all really had a nice series. Like it was really great. Too bad the rest of the team was not necessarily in the boat with them, but it kind of is the point. That's kind of the point. The Lakers were an incomplete team in a lot of ways, and they still had problems shooting the three-pointer with any real consistency this year. So I thought the Lakers were going to get swept going in. They lost in 5 games, so it's about right. But I will say the Lakers definitely showed something during all these games, didn't they? Like they were very close, and give a lot of credit to the Nuggets fighting through a lot of that. I think if a lesser team had played the Lakers in game 5, probably lose. I think it took a lot of experience and a lot of guts to take what the Lakers gave them and come out ahead in the end. Like it was really impressive stuff that Jokic was showing, and certainly Murray again, like when he's healthy. I know people talk about how he's an inefficient player, but dude is like good in a big spot. Like you can have all the numbers you want. Like, and now we're both fans of analytics, but like, if people are telling me he's not that good a player, he's a good player. Like he has stepped it up when it matters the most. It's clear that the Nuggets do not function that well offensively without him. Like I think we may need to give him a little more respect in that area going forward. I just think he's a great player. So yeah, I mean, this was, even though it's a short series, it's a surprisingly good series. Chris, let's get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of last year's conference finals.
Yeah, same
which
scenario.
was a sweep, but all those games were close.
Yeah,
and I felt like every game in this series, the Lakers have like a 10-point lead in that first half. I felt like they would come out real strong.
That's true.
And
yeah.
Denver I mean, Denver won the series, but they didn't. It wasn't impressive, and maybe that's the fact that just the Lakers are good. But that's one thing. I thought it was a very tightly played series. You're right. Game 5 was incredible. LeBron kind of turned back the clock. AD playing with one arm effectively, and the real disappointment for Lakers has to be the play of D'Angelo Russell.
Oh my gosh, you aren't kidding about that. He was the
and Dave, he was so good in the regular season. He shot like 45% from 3, and during this series, and it's a small sample, like 31% from 3, and just could not depend on him, and that was a huge factor. So yeah, I come out of this questioning whether I still like Denver should go to the finals. I mean, look, the playoffs are long. After there's going to be another round, and we're going to forget all about some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like I've been walking away more impressed with Minnesota and probably Oklahoma City, and I don't know. It's gonna be a good battle. The Final Four in the West, whoever it is, that comes out of this Dallas and Clippers game, it's going to be a battle. I think. I mean, those are going to be fun games, and I can't wait. But this was a good series. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Laker fan, but I'm not. I would. They were in every game. It felt like, and I don't know. But do you want to talk a little bit about the Lakers off season? Just
Yeah,
like I
a
would love
lot of
to
question
get your
marks,
thoughts
right?
on it.
Yeah, a lot of question
Yeah.
marks. And it's interesting because it came off of an offseason last year where it was critically acclaimed across the board. Everybody loved the offseason that the Lakers had. I did too. I thought it was a really great offseason. Got guys like Vanderbilt. They picked up pretty solid bench players, at least on paper. And it seemed like some of it didn't pan out. I mean, obviously part of that was D'Angelo coming back to the team. I think that was in this offseason. Maybe he maybe even been there before that, but um so yeah, I mean, it looked like this was a team that would at least have a little bit of meat to the bone this time. But some of just a lot of it didn't pan out, and it wound up once again being amount of up. It amounted to whether LeBron and AD could be healthy and play most of the season, and when they did, were they completely healthy? Then, when they were tough to beat. But that just didn't happen a lot of the time, and I don't see that changing in the next year or so. Certainly without LeBron. I mean, AD obviously still is kind of young, and it's not. I wouldn't say he's young, but maybe early 30s. He's kind of still got plenty of career left, I'd say. But um, it's going to be an interesting offseason. Obviously the draft isn't position's not going to be really great. Well, with them being a 7th seed this year in the playoffs. But they went through the playing round too, and I think they got through that. They won that. Wait, who did they play in the playing round? Because like we were talking about some. I think I was asked. Oh yeah, my friend Robbie, like Robbie G, was asking me this question, like, "What do you think of the playing round?" I didn't have much an opinion because I'm like, "They're gonna play the Nuggets. Like, how am I gonna get? I don't really feel that excited about that." The Nuggets swept the Lakers last year. They won in 5, but like you said, like they played really well. So let me answer the. I should answer the question. I think what's going to happen in the offseason is going to depend on LeBron's decision. Will he stay? Will he go? I don't think he's going to go. But again, I'm one of few people out there that probably wouldn't be that beat up over that. But with that said, I think he's probably going to stay anyway. You hate to think that he's just here to just push this whole idea of like playing with his son on the team. I am not going to stomach that very well, Chris. And I'm sure no matter what team this is, like people on whatever fan base it is that LeBron is on trying for this would be just as annoyed. Like, it's just too much. Like, trying to control your destiny can be a very tricky road. So, and another thing is, like, I don't think it's much like Austin Rivers was with Doc Rivers, on the Clippers. Like, pushing to have your kids or having on the team it's a dicey scenario because it's like the claims of nepotism will be wild and rampant in that spot. But I'm kind of so anyway. I have to figure out what the cap situation is before I really have an idea what the Lakers are going to do. But I don't know. Could be interesting. I think if LeBron stays, it'll be probably just augmenting that, trying to get better shooters, right? And you might get some guys in the offseason. I'd have to look into like who's available. You might have a better idea of that than I would, Chris. But if he does not stay, then it gets interesting. Then you're building around AD, so then you're gonna need a wing, like a starter, a wing who can start. So then you look at who's available there, and there's a lot of potential there. Maybe there's a trade. I don't know. It's an interesting scenario. Maybe the Lakers trade for Giannis. I don't know. That would be kind of ridiculous. I don't know. But that's kind of the way I think is going to happen. I think the Lakers will try to get younger if LeBron leaves. If they don't, they'll try to stay old and they'll try to get more like middle of the road veteran exception guys that might be able to shoot a 3-pointer or two. So that's sort of my thought.
Yeah, I thought the Vanderbilt. It's been so long. I forgot for a minute he was on the team, but that was a huge loss because he was like a really good wing defender.
Yeah,
and that's something they needed. And when you look at it, like Gabe Vincent was one of their free agent signings in the offseason last year, and he barely played for the Lakers. So yeah, you almost give him an incomplete because of the injuries. But yeah, I mean, two things. One, it sounds like Darvin Ham is gone. I mean, is that your sense?
oh my God, it's so obvious. Like I
Okay.
can't see him staying. He had been
Yeah.
He has so many he has been so many fourth quarter blown leads in the 2 years or so that he's been coaching this team, and
Yeah.
you can't sustain that and be a playoff contender. Like, he's just not a good coach. Like, or at least certainly not a good coach strategically. I can't speak to what he does between games, but he cannot hold a lead. He has been so bad at that throughout his 2 years as the Laker coach. So yeah, he's totally gone. Like, I don't even think it's a question. He's probably gonna get announced like in a week. Probably like within a
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
And the other thing with LeBron, would you? I mean, hasn't he kind of built a life out there? I mean, he has another kid in the schools in Southern California, right? And
Right.
I mean, is it feasible that he's going to go leave LA? It just, I don't, it just doesn't really make sense. The Lakers want him back, and I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me
Yeah.
why he would leave. I just feel like this is the last step of his journey, and it makes sense just to have that final continuity. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he
No,
has something else
I
planned.
think there's something to that. I think we have the NBA media wanting a story where there isn't one. I don't think LeBron. First of all, LeBron doesn't have anything left to prove as a player. Like, he's already done everything that you basically can do. As so, I don't see him having the urgency to prove himself on any level beyond what he's already done. So I think he's cool. I mean, he's gonna say all the things that one would say after all. It's like, oh, this is the worst. This is the. I mean, I don't know if he. I feel like he's playing it up. I don't think he really is that beat up over losing the series. Like, so with all that said, I'm like, I feel like he's gonna come back too. I'm like, I just don't see a scenario that's gonna be for the purpose of what he wants to do. And we all know how much he loves to build his brand. I think he knows that building his brand will improve if he stays with the Lakers and retires as a Laker and increases his chances of getting a statue outside of crypto.com arena and getting, his we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. Will he have his number retired? Well, oh man, that's a loaded question because he's not been there that long. Like, I think he's only been here for would be like maybe a 6th or 7th season with the Lakers at this point. Came in 2018-19, right? So what year was that? How many seasons is that?
Like, yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
Seems right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of time, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't feel like that's a retired number to me, but I'm biased. I will admit that. But I don't know.
I gotta think they retire his number.
Well, they're
right?
gonna retire his number. I'm not concerned about that. I'm just like, will he retire with this organization? So are you thinking he'll retire with this organization?
Oh yeah,
Think so?
sure. I don't know. The Lakers and their habits.
I have to think. I think you're right, but I don't necessarily agree with it. I think he needs to win one more title before I can feel good about that, or play 2 more years, I guess. But he certainly accomplished a lot in LA, like a lot of points. He set new records here, right? Won a title, right?
Broke Kareem's record. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot there. He will be in the Hall of Fame, so it wasn't in dispute when he got there, but it's really not now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I just think of him as a guy who's been great on the Lakers. I don't think of him as a Laker, but again, like, there's nuances to that, I'm sure, and I'm sure maybe if I didn't have pre-existing feelings about LeBron's career going in. Because again, like I always say, like, he's been a great player. Like, he's an all-time great, S tier, as you would say. Top 5. Oh yeah, absolutely top 5 for sure. Like, the numbers are the numbers. Like, you has the most points in the history of the league. How can you not be a top 5 player? Like, that's silly to think otherwise. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a case, right? For that to be retired number for the Lakers. Yeah. Is it going to be?
I mean, no chance he retires, right? I mean, I've even heard that thrown around.
Oh, that? You mean retiring at the end of this? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
LeBron doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would want to retire with still some juice left in the tank. I feel like he wants to keep going. He just wants to see how long he can go. Like Brady's the
Oh,
same way, right?
he
Or
played great in Game 5. He
yeah.
looked like he was sensational. He was keeping them in the game.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're gonna see less and less of that, but he did really turn back the clock in that Game 5, didn't he? Like he was so good, both ends. Like he was really good. Yeah, Um, yeah. So I'm with you on that, Chris. Like I don't see him changing teams now. It's too deep in the game for that, I think. I mean, it would, if he does, then good on him. I guess I wouldn't be disappointed, but it would surprise me too because I'm like, knowing how much he values like his legacy, I think he would help. I think he would help his legacy a lot if he just wrote it out, however far the Lakers can go, um, the way it is. So we'll see. I I I like the question though. It's a really good question. I do think they're going to stand pat with a lot of this group, which I don't love. I think they need to get younger. They need to get better at 3-point shooting. I'm not sure how you're going to do that with the roster that they have now. But they do have three pretty, they have at least one pretty good shooter with Reeves. So, and LeBron can often be a very good shooter himself. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's go to the next series. Minnesota Timberwolves defeat the Suns 4-0. As one would expect, the Suns showed some fight in Game 4, but it wasn't enough. Clearly, the Wolves have been, that dunk by Anthony Edwards near the end of that Game 4. God, what an amazing! I don't know if you saw that because it was late. It was pretty late at night when this.
Oh yeah,
but man, that was the dunk of the year. It was so good. It was so
yeah. That was angry. That was
yeah,
an
it
angry
really
dunk.
was. Yeah, he met with authority. I mean, this guy has been amazing. Like he's playing above and beyond his age. Like he's such a young guy, but he's playing like a pro. Like what an incredible coming out moment, or maybe the breakout series. That's a better phrase for this. What an incredible breakout series this has been for a team or in a franchise like the Wolves who have not been in the playoffs a lot in recent years. And this happened to be their first playoff series victory since 2004. So it really means a lot to the city that they got through, the state too, that they got through the series and took care of business. On the other side, we talked about the Suns and how they're complete disarray. I was just never buying the Suns. I did not at any point think the Suns were going to win the series. I was like, this team is just not that interesting. They're not good. You see whoever played them, like, like it's just not. There's just nothing there. There is no catch. There's nothing to enjoy with this team. Devin Booker has really fallen off recently. It's like you barely hear about him anymore. I don't know if that's just all in my head, but he used to be like one of the best players in the clutch. He's fallen off a lot. Maybe he's hurt, but I just haven't seen much from him lately. And then after that, I don't know. It's just I just don't remember a lot about the Suns. Like it's KD and Beal, and I don't have any real idea. But I mean, Beal is good, but I don't think Beal's worth what they're paying him. He hadn't been for a while, to be fair, but
Yeah, Beal was awful in this series.
yeah,
Just awful.
yeah, yeah.
And the Beal. Well, let's talk about Minnesota because you touched on them first. Yeah, this has been the Anthony Edwards show. He's been exciting. He's been shown himself to be a two-way player. I mean, I don't know. Every time I watch a game with him, it seems like the other players love him, and he gets like he kind of yaks it up with other players and with refs and coaches. He just seems very likable. It seems like as a kind of media profile, this guy's going to be a superstar. I mean, he's going to be selling shoes. He's going to be selling soft drinks. I'm totally ready for it. I think that at least for me, I forgot, Minnesota ended up with the 3 seed. They were kind of sitting in the first in the West for a long time, and I forgot how good they were because they had a couple of dogfights with the Celtics, and they're big. They play really good defense, and I man, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the Western Conference team just because they look so much better. The only thing I worry about is they need Mike Conley, and he's been great, but he kind of is the key to that team offensively, in my opinion. But what a it's exciting if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. This is a great time because you've had such a bad team for so long, and when you get good players, then you inevitably trade them away. So I'm glad. I like this. I like this. I'm happy for the city. And like I said, it would be they're gonna be a tough out. Um Phoenix, the other side. Yeah, I did not understand acquiring Bradley Beal. Like that trade made no sense. He's to me, he's a scorer and he gives you very little else other than scoring, which is just not a useful player. And I think they have tough decisions ahead because they don't have any draft picks till 2030. I mean, they have some pick swaps, but um, but those won't, that won't pay off in a big way, likely. So they're kind of stuck with this team, and we've already been hearing rumors that like Booker maybe going to the Knicks or Booker going there's somewhere else. I can't remember. There's another team. Um, Someone suggested the Nets. I heard that. So I don't know. I feel like this is we could see big changes. Oh, and Frank Vogel might get canned too. We don't know. It seemed like the coach, he might be on his way out. So it's a big mess, and I expect um there'll be a lot of changes in the offseason there.
Yeah, it just hasn't been. It just doesn't look like a team that's constructed very well at all. You mentioned the Bradley Beal transaction, and like I didn't have much confidence in that either. Like Beal's been, how many teams has Beal been on now? So he was on the Wizards for a while, and
But he was drafted by the Wizards, but
yeah.
so it's just two. But
Okay, so it was just
yeah,
like
they signed him to that crazy max contract and gave him a no trade. So he's hard. He's going to be, even if they could find a trade partner, Beal would have to approve the trade. So it's like it's a nightmare contract. It's like arguably the worst contract in the NBA right now.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the no trade alone is ridiculous. So um yeah, I don't know. I feel like either one of KD or um one of Katie or Booker will be dealt. That's just my prediction because I just don't see how long. I mean, Katie. You mentioned KD. I mean, how much longer can he go like this?
Yeah.
And I feel like he had the Achilles injury. Um, so I feel like if they could make trade him, they would, but maybe more likely that Booker gets dealt.
Yeah, it's because of the contract, the way the contract's situated. I think that's the prevailing thought behind their transaction. I'm pretty sure that's the way they're gonna go. And I don't. And the thing of it is, I just don't know what they're getting. I don't see them getting much at all for Booker these days, and it's really too bad because like Booker used to be such a big part of the Suns, but it's just like it's just not there. Like I'm gonna just gonna run through some of these scores. They're hideous. Because the Suns had 95 points in game one, 93 in game two. Like their offense has been brutal this year. Like it's just not been. It's an old team that plays old. They don't. I mean, what do you think they're passing? It doesn't seem like they pass the ball very much, just from what I've been watching.
Well, they really don't have a point guard, and that
Yeah,
was one of Vogel's complaints. Is that he was like, "Yeah, can you get me a point guard?"
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I see. I disagree. I think Booker's fine. I think like I'd be the rumors about him going to the Knicks kind of made a lot of sense to me because I think he'd be like actually a pretty good backcourt partner, um, with Brunson. So, and I guess there's a relationship to I can't remember with the agents, his agent, like maybe with Leon Rose and so forth. But I don't know. We'll see. But it would be amazing if they blew it up. Someone suggested they could trade Booker back to the Nets and get Mikal Bridges and the draft picks back
Oh,
from that one. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. They're going to be a team to watch because I just can't see them running this back. No way. There's no way they could do that.
they can't. They just can't. It's just such an. It needs to get younger. I will note that Booker had 49 points in Game 4. That's pretty good. So
Yeah, Booker's fine.
yeah,
I I,
Booker's
I wouldn't.
probably better than I remembered, but that's good to know. Okay, but nonetheless, I do think he's gonna get dealt. I'm kind of with you that they have to do something. They can't leave it like this. Like it's just, and Royce O'Neal, jeez, he is wow. Like Royce O'Neal has been a pretty dependable like role player over the years. So I mean, you don't want to get on Royce O'Neal too much here, um, or Nurkic for that matter. But all these guys are old. Like that's the thing I just kind of look at here. It's like Eric Gordon. Like I remember when he played on the Clippers a long time ago. So he's been around a while too. So just not a team you can really get that excited about. So I don't know. They're gonna have to obviously send some people packing, and we'll see. Um,
Yeah, and they're going to stay old because they don't have a lot of picks. So
yeah.
unless they get creative, they're gonna stay that way. I mean, after the Beal trade, they didn't have much money, and they just had to, pick through the scrap heap. Grayson Allen was turned out to be a good player for them,
Mhm.
and they signed him to extension. I think he led the league in 3-point shooting. But yeah, you're right, man. There's got to be big changes there.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see. New owner. I don't know. He was kind of pushing for a lot of these moves. So
All right. Well, I mean, they're gonna yeah they gotta and what I would say is like they don't have to go after big names here in the free agency. What they have to do is they have to just start drafting well. You don't have to tank, but just like get rid of some of these pieces, get assets, and then try to make the most of those assets. That's what you really should do if you're the Suns. Like you need to start getting. They have been an old team for a long time. Like they have not really the. I mean, the quote bright future Suns era is now like close to like 5 or even 6 years ago. So they definitely need to turn things around. Funny enough, DeAndre Ayton actually had a pretty good year. So it was kind of interesting to note on a different team, wasn't on the Suns, but I didn't notice that he had a pretty
yeah,
pretty good year. So
it's okay.
yeah.
The I mean, it would be an exciting what if you looked at what if the Suns had mostly kept this team together. Booker,
Hmm.
Mikal Bridges. You don't trade Bridges to Brooklyn um for KD, and
Yeah.
you keep Bridges and Cam Johnson, and then maybe you make some trades along the lines of trading Ayton, get a different center in there or whatever. But it might. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to compare it to like Oklahoma City in the when they had KD and Harden and Westbrook and traded them all away. But this might be like a huge what if uh, when you consider they came very very close to winning a championship a few years ago. So
Yeah. It felt like a desperate move to go after KD, knowing he was he's coming off of like a huge long term injury. You know, like
yeah,
it's I just didn't like the optic of that, and so I'm really not that surprised to see the Suns being so below average, mediocre. What's the word here? Like they definitely were good. Like we're just meh. I think most of the year.
yeah, I agree. I think I mean again our at least I'll speak for myself. My thinking about it is warped because they were the sixth seed, but again, the top four in the West are amazing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could extend it to, five with Dallas because Dallas came on crazy strong towards the end there. So the West is just stacked. Really
It
is.
is an interesting match. It is an interesting story with Dallas. They have definitely been. I mean, if uneven, they are, but they've been an interesting watch. Um, let's actually move ahead to that series. I think that's the last one on
Yeah,
the board. So we have the
it
game
is.
Mavericks Clippers. It's all tied at 2-2. We are playing game 5 as we speak at crypto.com arena. If this will be most if the Clippers don't advance, of course, this will be the last playoff series ever played for them at crypto.com arena for the foreseeable future because they'll be moving to a new arena next year. But that's not really relevant to tonight's program. But interesting anyway. It's currently 46-42 Dallas as we near the end of the second quarter. It's been a most unusual series. I think it's been a very good series, but kind of a tough series too because you've had lots of moments, and this is just saying that the Clippers defense is really good, and I think the Mavericks have also been surprisingly good on that end of the end of the floor in the series. But it's two veteran teams, and you can kind of feel that with some of the way that things are going. Luka Doncic is not healthy. Like you can see his knees just is acting is really not doing great, and he's giving it his best shot tonight playing in this game, but he looks very hobbled right now. He also looks out of shape. Like it's been interesting. I had not seen him in play in a while, and he's definitely looked a lot older than one would think he would be after only so many years in the league. But man, he's he's he does look a little out of shape. I'm not gonna lie, but you've called his defense out. You've called out his terrible defense for a long time. That is borne out in this series, no doubt. Um, with that said, I think the Mavs are tough because he can score, and Irving is still a really great finisher. And then you've got some supporting players behind them that have been playing very well recently. For the Clippers, I actually felt pretty decent about the Clippers this year. I have not my usual black hat with relish situation with the Clippers because it's like, despite the idea that they have three historic playoff chokers on the team in James Harden and Paul George, and to a lesser extent Russell Westbrook, this is still a team that has a lot of potential because their defense continues to be very good, and I think you've seen that they have been in every game except for game 3, really. Like they have been right there in all the other ones. Um, this is a team that actually, to me, if they just get past this series, I think they have a really good chance of making the finals because that defense is so good and they've got so many experienced players. It's just a matter of whether they can conquer their demons, their playoff demons individually. Like you have three guys who've never played well in big spots, but if they're all together and they can stay in games because they can defend, maybe you got something here. I just feel like this could be a sneaky good playoff run for the Clippers. I'm very curious about how this goes, but that's going to depend on them winning this series, and that's going to depend on them winning tonight. So, been a very, very interesting watch, Chris. What are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, this was one that I was really excited about just because it again, like the Cavs Magic series, it just felt really even in what you want out of a 4-5. Uh I couple things. I felt like Luca's defense actually has been a little bit better this series. Game one, I thought he was actually excellent. Um, but yeah, in general, like when I've seen him, he will take plays off a lot and just not guard anybody. But in game one, I saw him; he was like staying right in front of his man every time, and I thought he was great. Um, two, Kawhi was really bad, and I think they just played a whole lot better without him. I mean, I just felt like he was just kind of slowing them down and missing a lot of shots. And I feel like in his current condition, unfortunately, they might be better off without him. Um, and yeah, like game 4, which was on Sunday, right? Sunday afternoon. And that was just a wild game, with the Clippers coming out to it like this huge lead. I think they were up by like 30, and Dallas chipped away in the second half and even took the lead in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter. It was a wild finish. Kyrie, I mean, I am, I've been very critical of him, but his talent is off the charts, and he was amazing. He kind of led the comeback. And I heard an interview with Luca afterwards, and he even like um, expressed feelings that he wanted. He felt like he let the team and he let Kyrie down, and Kyrie was carrying the team. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. You're right. I feel like he does look hobbled a little bit, particularly in game 4, and Luca, that is. And so I don't know where this is going, to be honest. I do feel like this is going to go 7, though. I really do. I think I don't know. I don't know what Kawhi's status is, if he'll come back, but it has been this has been entertaining, and I'm glad. And I hope it goes 7, to be honest.
I think it'd be a really
What do you?
good 7 game series. Like I'm down with that too. I
Yeah,
I do think I do appreciate you bringing up Kawhi because that is a really big part of the story, and surprisingly, where we were saying to each other that Kawhi is going to have a huge impact, his absence will be felt by the Clippers. It may have actually been a blessing in disguise for the purpose of this particular matchup. Like it seems to really help their agility, as you said, and I think that's one of the things about the Clippers that has been really interesting this year. They really are a very good, like they can really move, and that's one thing. I think that's probably why their defense has been so good most of the year. Like they have been able to catch up to teams. They are a very athletic team. Even I mean, I grant you, like some of these guys are pretty old, but a lot of them are not. Like you've got guys like Terrence Mann on the team. You have Amir Coffey. Like you have a lot of fairly young players in this team as well. So it's a pretty interesting mix of like veterans and youth.
yeah. I'll agree with that, and they've done a nice job filling in around the edges with those two guys you just named. I do wonder. So the Clippers did re-up Kawhi, but Paul George is a free agent, and I do wonder. I mean, he's a Southern California guy, so maybe he wants to stay. But I do wonder if he would take money to go somewhere else in the off season, and particularly if Dallas wins this series. I don't know, but it'll be fun speculation. He'll, I mean, if we talk about free agents, you brought up LeBron. LeBron, even at this age, I think, would still draw a fair amount of interest. But Paul George for sure would as well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like it. I my instinct is that he is gonna probably walk. I think he wants to test the market, but it wouldn't be with any ill will. I think he's really enjoyed his time with the Clippers, and to be honest, like he's been doing a pretty nice job. Like I'm not really looking at the box scores that intently, but we can go look at some of these, and I do think if we go back to like the last game, for example, George has been pretty good. I mean, he 33 points in game 4. I mean, that's solid.
He made that crazy shot from the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I think it won the game for them. Turnaround 3, and he had, I can't remember who was guarding him, but yeah, he was pretty well guarded too. It was amazing.
It was an amazing shot. It's really spectacular. Like just crazy. You can't even believe when it went in, and that was coming off of like a equally spectacular finishing drive by Irving in the previous possession, I think it was. And so just what a finish to that game. I mean, not a lot of teams can come back, can blow a lead like that, be behind, and then somehow come back and then kind of put it away toward the end. but the Clippers, that could be just their veteran presence working for them. But I figured they would do that. I just for some reason thought I didn't think they were going to get buckle in under that pressure because they know what the Mavericks do. As well as they've been playing, I still find them to be pretty predictable. They love the outside shot, but you know who they're going to give the ball to in the big spot. They're going to give it to either Luka or they're going to give it to Kyrie. So, there's not many secrets when it comes to their offense, but you got to give both credit to both teams here. This is just really quite an interesting matchup. And, a matchup you would expect in a 5-4 or 4-5 playoff series. And we're really getting it. Like, this has been as close a series as you can imagine. When you were saying, yeah, I'm just going to say, like, you can't really pick a side. Like, it was like, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to interject. You don't feel like they would give the ball to Dante Exum or Derrick Jones Jr. with the game on the line?
No, I'd be very surprised. We're talking about the Mavericks? I mean, no.
Yes.
No. And no,
right.
PJ Washington, I don't think so. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
That would probably, you'd win some bingo cards if that happened. No, so yeah, Dallas still does seem like they still seem to depend. I mean, both teams do this. Both the teams in the series do this. They really, really lean on that outside shot. They really lean on it, and that can come back to bite you over time. But still, like, it's been, I think both these teams know each other pretty well, and I think it's about what I expected. And tonight you have the Mavericks on the road up 10. Do you think the Mavericks are going to win based on that? No, I think we could see that going either way. I think the Clippers could definitely come back and win that game. And if they do, great. Even if they don't, do we see the Clippers winning the next game and Dallas? Absolutely, we could see that. I think these teams have really felt each other out, and I do believe the biggest moments are yet to come in the series, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. Don't touch that dial, even tonight. I'm going to stay up to the end.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I don't think that I really don't think the Mavericks are going to run away with in the second half, because that hasn't happened the entire series. Usually when someone goes up a bunch of points, the other team has an answer. I do think the Clippers will have an answer coming into the third quarter. So it's not over yet, folks. Like, keep that one on. And
absolutely
should be great. Yeah, really good stuff. I don't know what the Mavericks are going to do in their offseason. I guess maybe there's not a lot to worry about there. It seems like this is kind of their team right now. I mean, I did see the stat by TNT that the Clippers are the oldest team in the playoffs, which is kind of nuts to me because I thought, well, maybe it's just the teams that are still remaining, because I was like, wait a minute, aren't the Suns like the oldest team? Like, they seem older, but I think they got old guys on the team. Sure. Don't get me wrong. I just, like, the Clippers have old guys on the team for sure. But, if that's true, I think maybe the average is balanced out by, like, Harden and Paul George being there. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Like, I thought they were younger than that said. You know what I mean? Like, I thought they were a little bit younger. But maybe they're old. They're kind of old. They have age on the team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got Paul... You got George, you got Harden, you got Kawhi. I mean, those are all three guys, well in their 30s.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's not outrageous at all. And Westbrook isn't young either. Like,
Westbrook too. Yeah. All those guys are well into their 30s. Yeah. I mean, Powell's got to be 32 now, right?
Yeah, and Plumlee might be right around 30.
Yeah.
I think he would be... Oh, he's 30. He's 34. Yeah, so that...
Yeah.
He's not young either. So, yeah, there you go. So that's the playoffs so far. I mean, these are pretty good matchups. I just think we've had some really good games. Even the games that were short... I mean, the series that were short had some pretty good matchups. As we look ahead towards the next round, and we mentioned that it's going to be a preset brackets format. There's not going to be any reseeding in the NBA playoffs this year, which to me is unfortunate, but we do get some good matchups as a result anyway, especially Denver Minnesota, which that is going to be the series of the second round for sure. There's like I don't see anything in the East that can really get in the neighborhood. Like Indiana versus the Knicks would be a fun one though. To be I think that would be probably a game that goes at least 6. But you can't beat Denver Minnesota. Like that is just such an amazing like matchup of superstars. Like that's going to be really fun to watch.
I agree. I was looking at that and I was like, oh my gosh, that will be the next matchup, won't it? Man, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be I hope everyone comes back healthy because Murray was a little gimpy. I think Caldwell Pope got hurt in that last game. I just hope these teams can get back close to full strength. And because on paper that should be a really fun series, and I'm totally looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. I don't have a ton of analysis on what to expect in that series, but when you're talking about teams that have really good guard play, like I have all the expectations for a 6-7 game series. And I think the thing about it is Minnesota's going to be hungry. I mean, naturally, right? Like Denver coming off a title, they've been in the playoffs a whole lot in the last 5 years. So I do think that the Wolves are going to have more to prove here, and they'll play like it. It's going to be really good. Or will they be ready for the next step? I don't know. I mean, that's why this is exciting. I think this will be a really entertaining series, and just a lot to love here. OKC versus whoever comes out of this match, out of this Clippers Dallas series, regardless of who it is, that's going to be a good matchup because I think the Clippers are not afraid of OKC. I think they can hang with them. Dallas is interesting. I wonder what would happen there. I would probably favor OKC more in that scenario, but you are also talking about a team with two like pretty well-known all-stars versus another team that pretty well-known all-stars, but still like it's the name brand value is obviously huge with Dallas. That should be really fun. I mean, I gotta tell you, like I think the Clippers. I never asked you who you thought was going to win that Clippers Dallas series. If you were to pick a side, who do you have?
I don't know why. I have a feeling it's gonna be Dallas.
I mean,
I feel like this is like kind of their moment. And Luca, he's got to put his stamp on a playoff at some point. I mean, I feel haven't they played the Clippers like 4 years in a row in the first round? It's something crazy. Um, there's some weird streak going on there because I feel like every year I see Clippers and Mavs in the first round. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of Luka's time. Kyrie's been, I mean, I criticize him all the time, but he's had a great season. He's kind of kept a low profile, and he's shown, he can carry this team. Um, a, you know, uh, what was that game where he hit that hook shot, the lefty hook shot to win it? I think it was against, no, it was against Denver. It was against Denver. Yeah, he's unbelievable. Like just an incredible talent. But I just, he's got issues. But I just feel like it just feels like it's Dallas's time to make some noise in the playoffs. So
yeah,
that's what I take.
I love it. I love it a lot. I mean, you can see that I'm going to take the Clippers because I feel like they can muck it up and they can make things really interesting. But I will say if they don't win tonight, it's going to be that much tougher. I still think they can do it, but it'd be quite a road. And it's hard to say what they'll have left because we just talked about it. They're an old team. They got some old guys on there, so I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. Any other thoughts you have as far as projected second round matchups? It looks like it's going to be, depending on what happens with Cleveland or Orlando, you have Boston meeting the winner of that series. And again, we have two series that are still very much up in the air in the other half of the Eastern Conference bracket. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers, there's no real idea who's going to win. You really think the Pacers will get it, but there's no guarantee at all. Same scenario for the Knicks in Philadelphia. Like, who knows? Like, it could go either way. So let's get your thoughts on the second round, or what you might see in the second round.
So yeah, Oklahoma City, Dallas. I feel like that's where we're headed. I mean, it's just a guess. Um, and that'd be fun. I mean, it would be. I think that'd be a really good matchup. And I could it. I'm not gonna say. I don't know. I mean, Dallas really came on in the second half after the trade deadline when they got Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Um, I don't know. I mean that could be a fun matchup. Uh, we already talked about Minnesota and Denver. Love it. Can't wait. Let's get started. Um, and gosh, I mean, so much is unknown at this point in the East. Like I said, I like the Knicks. I think it's gonna be Knicks Pacers. A little bit of history with that rivalry, going back to the '90s. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that would be fun. Again, the Knicks are really banged up right now. I just hope um, they can get some rest, and that should be a fun series. And Boston, I don't know who's going to come out of that. I said Cleveland. I think it'll probably be Cleveland, but I don't feel strongly about that. But either way, it's going to be a really tough matchup for Boston, like two really
Yeah.
excellent defensive teams. So I don't know. Let's. I'm glad. Like I said, I hope that goes 7, and I hope that Boston can get some rest. Horford especially is going to need it because he's going to play more minutes with Kristaps out. So yeah, I don't have a preference in terms of which one of those two teams I'd rather see. They're both very good, excellent defensively. They both beat the Celtics in the regular season. So and in an embarrassing fashion, I add. Yeah, Cleveland came back from like down 21, something like that. Huge comeback, and Orlando. This was in the in-season tournament. Um, they embarrassed the Celtics and destroyed them. So I don't think either series will be easy, and I don't I don't have a preference. Uh, yeah.
You're right about the winner of that Cleveland Orlando series being a tough matchup for Boston because I've seen them both play them tough this year. You already broke that down, but I saw the same thing, especially the Cavs. Like the Cavs are actually giving them a tough time in Boston during a game or two this year. So that will be a good matchup. Like not to the point where I feel like I would even pick them to win the series outright, but I think what you'll see games are closer than people are anticipating. So I'm interested in that too. We'll see. Um, and not much to add as far as the rest of the matchups. I do think that a Knicks Indiana series will be fun, and since both teams are relatively new to the scene, I can't really pick a side. Like I think that could go either way. It could be very entertaining. So we'll see. That's about it. I don't have anything further to add as far as the first round. I mean, we covered it really well. And shout out to the user Wayne's World in the chat. Party on, Wayne. So Pete, any last thoughts as far as the playoff coverage this evening, Chris?
No, I have nothing to add. This was a fun discussion. I'm you texted me the other night and you said it's a really good first round, and you're right. There's been a lot of excitement, a lot of juice. So I hope it continues.
I do too, and if the Clippers can make a rally here in the second half, I think it will continue in a lot of ways. But even without it, like it's still going to be pretty good going into the weekend. So very very good situation for the NBA right now. Pretty even in the East, pretty even in the West. There's no clear cut favorite here. I think your pick of Denver is good, but I also could see OKC, Minnesota, Dallas, or the Clippers making it out of the West. Like it's really genuinely wide open. Like it's a lot of good teams. So,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. Like, this has been so much fun. Like, it's so nice to chat with you again, and hopefully we can get you back soon for a future such edition of NBA stuff. It's always good to talk hoops with you, my friend.
Dave, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you as well, Chris. Have a great rest of your night, and best to you and yours.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
You too. Thanks. That's Chris in Georgia, folks, and it's great to have you here. I do appreciate your comments, Wayne. Like, it's really nice to hear from you. This is better than Hoop Collective at ESPN. Well, I mean, I haven't heard it in a while, but I think it's a pretty decent show. I give all the credit to Chris though. Chris really broke it down great. Like, he really had all of his scenarios in a row. So thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we'll be back. I'm hoping to be back next week. I just got to figure out when. It's going to be a busy week for all of us in the Sandwichverse. So, this has been the Sandwich Corner. Thank you for tuning in, and we cover all sorts of fun things here on this channel, including sports and other stuff. So we'll keep the playoff thing going. Hopefully next week at some point. I haven't figured out exactly what day yet, but we are hoping to get back. If not, Chris, we can get our friend Tom in New Jersey to join us for next week's program. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can catch them over here on YouTube. A previous episodes are listed there. And of course, we are on all the podcast platforms, including Spotify, Amazon Music, and all the podcast scenarios where we cover all sorts of things. We also covered the latest in pro golf recently, and we'll keep it rolling here over here. On Twitch, I stream the Sandwich Show, where we interview content creators who are in the music makers and crafts categories of live streaming, but also other people in between. And we're celebrating 3 years on Friday. So if you want to join us over on Twitch, I'm at twitch.tv/Davey's Eating a Sandwich. And also streaming tonight. I'm going to be doing some Golf with Your Friends over there on Twitch in just a few minutes. So y'all, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening. It's been fun chatting with you once again. If you missed any part of this podcast, again, you can catch the replay right here on YouTube, visually or audibly on all the aforementioned podcast platforms. So take care for now. You can catch us on Twitch at the bottom of the hour if you're watching us live. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.